Hello and welcome to the Offside Line pod with David Barnes and me, Pete Burns. If you enjoy what we do, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode and tell your friends, family, teammates, clubmates and the people you sit next to in the stand all about us. And if you'd like to leave a positive review, it would really help us with the old algorithm as it helps other people find us. Thanks for listening, and here's today's show.
It's the Offside Line.
This is not soccer. Is that clear?
Of course, Stanger could be there. In fact, it's a try. A magnificent try for the 21-year-old.
Brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant.
Welcome to season 2 of the Offside Line pod. Barney, after a whole week off, we're back, baby.
It's been a wild off season of an extra week.
We had a whole week of not doing this, and then we're back. But we did manage to squeeze in a meeting about season 2. So, did we really have a week off? I'm not really sure. But the stars have aligned because not only are we at the start of a new season, but you are now the proud owner of a totally revamped and redesigned Offside Line website, and it looks amazing. Well done, Barney.
Thank you very much. I can't really take much credit for that. Big shout out to Vipond and Co. and particularly John McConville, who's run the website. Originally built the website 9 years ago, and then was the tech man for the rebuild, and was very, very patient. Put up with Elaine Hamilton, the managing director, and myself, kind of constant changing our minds and asking for things that were completely impossible. And so it looks really good. It was just time it needed to be done, Pete. That site was built back 9 years ago when basically I set it up as a blog because the newspapers would publish my articles, and we've kind of added to it, and it was just bursting at the seams. It was creaking at the seams. It needed a new server because we were basically taking more and more of poor John runs his own server because he kind of looks after several sites, and our one was basically taking up more and more of his server, which was having performance issues. So there's a lot needed to be done, and we're just delighted with how it looks. Good. Yeah, it
looks so good. So everyone get on now, right now, as you're listening, and check out the Offside Line's new website. It looks absolutely brilliant. So, Barney, the Women's Rugby World Cup kicks off on Friday as England face the USA, and then the big one for us is on Saturday in Salford, Scotland against Wales. Let's speak to one of the Offside Line team on the ground there, Lorna Husband. Lorna, how are you doing? So are you in Manchester? Are you in Salford? Where are you based just now?
Yeah, I'm in Manchester city centre currently, right bang in the middle.
Brilliant. And how's the vibe down there?
It's good. So Gay Pride's this weekend as well in Manchester, so it's literally all going on. Mm-hmm. But there's posters for the Women's World Cup kind of everywhere, which is really good, like big electric kind of ones, bus stop ones. So it's known that it's happening, I think, because it's a good buzz. And then obviously, I guess the game tomorrow night, USA versus England. I think that'll be quite a good vibe. I think the pubs will be showing it, and there's a viewing area for fans, like a fans area. So in a garden in Piccadilly Gardens, I think. So probably go along there. Maybe do a few vox pops, see what people are expecting.
Yeah, get your recorder, get your phone out, get the recording, and people come and watch it on the Offside Line's Instagram, TikTok.
Exactly.
Elaine Hamilton will be delighted with me, that bit of marketing there. No problem, Elaine.
It's hugely exciting because just the buzz around it is bigger than any Women's World Cup so far by a mile, and the ticket sales are through the roof. They've broken all records by just like such a distance. It's incredible. And obviously they've got this big opening game Friday night with England, who, they haven't lost for something mad like over 1,000 days. And they're coming up against the USA, who won the first Women's World Cup, and they've got the biggest star in world rugby playing outside centre for them in Alona Maya. And just the whole thing about it is just incredibly exciting. And then obviously the next day we have the crunch game in our pool, which is Scotland against Wales, and that has gone down to the wire for the last 5 games. As we discussed on the pod at the end of last season, that it's a cigarette paper between them. How are you viewing that game? The team announcements haven't been made yet when we're recording, so we're recording Thursday morning, and they come out at midday today. But both pretty settled teams. So what's your take on it all?
I think, considering our whole team are fit, like we've had the call that they're all good, everyone's well. I think, it's been close before, and it could be close again. They've got a new coach. But there's something kind of from just recent games that you think Scotland could maybe just pip them, but you never know. Like it's always been so close. Like you could go anyway.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because there's all this chat about, and we don't want to go over old ground, but the contracts, and they don't know what's going on there, and Brian Eason leaving, and clearly there's a wee bit of disgruntled. But like picking up from back in Edinburgh, the stuff that you and there's Eve McTiernan's down there and Stuart Bathgate as well, and the stuff they've been sending up is like they've obviously the team have decided that you can either let that stuff get on top of you or you can use it as kind of motivation, and that seems to be are they quite open about that? Is that the kind of is that like presumably that's the vibe you're picking up?
Yeah, definitely. Like when we spoke to a few of them the other day, and it seems like it has obviously impacted them, the news right before a World Cup, but they are just being quite resilient, and they're saying, well, you've got to just keep going. But definitely it'll impact them all in a way, just to know that all these changes are going on behind the scenes, and they've been announced just so close to one of the biggest games in some of their rugby careers. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one, but they're definitely this week. It seems like their heads down. They're not, that's not coming in their way just now. I think the excitement, everything building up, it's a good first game, and like their opening ceremony, like Wales and Scotland were both there alongside Australia and Samoa, but it was, I don't know, it's kind of like that was building a little bit of, they were sat, in the same room for the opening ceremony, that
snarling at each other. Yeah,
they're seeing their team, their rivals, and then a few days later they're competing. So I think it's a good, especially since it's an England World Cup, it's quite exciting how you have your, the two other. Yeah.
The same will go for Wales as well, of course, because they'll be taking the view in this game, particularly. Exactly the same. I was going to ask you, Lorna, is you're saying that there's gay pride on as well. There's a lot going on in the city. I mean, are you seeing Scotland flags yet and stuff? Is it and is there fans there? Or is that probably going to build? It's still quite early in the week, I suppose.
Yeah. I've not seen a Scottish flag yet, so but I'm hoping to. I'm hoping there's going to be that kind of buzz, and you hear, like, I've heard of a few people coming down and stuff. So I imagine there will be that excitement. But yeah, Manchester's going to be a little party time this weekend.
Yeah.
The opening fixture, is that likely just to be a thrashing by England, or did the USA? How do you think that one's going to go?
I guess the people are England are the favourites, is what people are thinking. But I don't know, the USA, I think, could stand a chance. I think it could be closer than people think. Like, it'll be a really exciting game. They've both got quite high profile players within their teams. Like, there'll be and a lot of people watching, I reckon, from all over the world. So yeah, I think it could be a little closer than people might think. But who knows?
Yeah, there is a pressure. Home team, isn't there? Favourites, home team, pressure. And they blew it. In the World Cup last time when they were in New Zealand, they were expected to win that, and it wasn't New Zealand. It was New Zealand who beat them. But there's a lot of pressure there, isn't there? So I hope it is tighter. But from a rugby point of view, I hope it's tighter. But from a offside line point of view, I hope not, because we were toying with the idea of doing a live match report from it, and umming and ahhing, and budgets are always a thing. And then I'm blaming Stuart Bathgate for this, but Stuart said, I think it's going to be a 40-pointer. Let's not bother. So I'm going to be really annoyed if we don't cover it properly. We're just going to do a wee note at the foot of the preview saying, meanwhile, England thrashed USA, and I'll be really annoyed if it's a thriller and we should have recovered it. And I'll blame Stuart Bathgate for that. Stuart. Yeah. So you're here. You're down till you're back up next week, because Lorna's got her end of year project for our degree to Lorna's a postgrad journalism in Edinburgh. So you're back up next week and maybe down for the weekend, but you're starting down the week after that to Exeter, which is the final week. So hand the big dissertation in, and then we'll go from there. But definitely here till Saturday. Probably go to the Canada Fiji game, at the first game on Saturday, then the Scotland Wales, and then I'll head home, and then we'll maybe see about the next weekend, and then definitely Exeter for the Canada game. So yeah, it's going to be a fun little time. Yeah,
brilliant. We'll get you back on the pod for updates on how it's all going.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And good luck
Excellent.
with the final project.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good luck with
Thank
that. And look at our Instagram and our TikTok for Lorna's social media
Yes.
updates as well. And there was a scenes editor. She's also writing a bit for the site as well. So lots of stuff to see. If you want more of Lorna, the Offside Line's the place to go for the time
Here
being.
we are.
Yeah. Excellent.
Amazing. Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cool. Thank you.
Barney, the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership also kicks off this weekend. You were at the launch of this the other day, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, let's have a quick look back at the first round of the Women's Prem, which started last week. And that started with Custorf and the champions taking on Biggar down at Hartree Mill, and they won 26-17. Geary were hosting Hillhead Jordan Hill, and the away team won 38-17. Heriots hosted Cartha and won 39-13. And Watsonians against Stirling was a big game in that round, and Stirling won 34-17. So, Barney, first round, it's not suddenly looking like the cricket scores that were racked up last year, which is already a massive positive.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big takeaway, wasn't it? Because I remember you and me at the start of last season, every week, and we start off trying to be very positive, and it's early days in the season, and it was just getting harder and harder to not justify is not the right word, but there was just big scores. I'm looking back at them now. All three of those games, 74-7. If you look at the first week of last season, Geary lost 69-5 at home to the Cougars. Watsonians hammered Cartha 97-7. Stirling hammered Heriots 79-0. Hillhead Jordan Hill hammered Stewartsley 74-7. I mean, that's just not good for anybody, really.
No, and they're regular 3-digit scores.
So all four of those games. I mean, I don't think they were the tightest games ever, but they all seem to have been pretty competitive. I know that certainly, I think Cougars and the big Stirling, a few of the bigger teams were missing a couple of players through injury. A couple of them are down playing going to be playing in the World Cup. So that may be a wee bit of a balancer, but. We ran a kind of fact file on all the teams at the before the first game, and it's always early season optimism. You kind of thought it looks, these teams have recruited quite well. I think this could be a bit more of a competitive league, and you worry whether that's just wishful thinking. But you look at Biggar have come up. They've always had a really great youth section. They've got a lot of good players have come through and playing at different clubs now. Are playing down in England, but. They can add something to it. They've got Sarah Denham back as their standoff. The Hillhead had recruited well. So I'm hopeful that it carries on like this. Let's really hope it carries on like this, because we really do need a competitive league. And let's hope that it's because the kind of lesser teams, for want of a better phrase, are raising their game as opposed to the top teams being dragged down. But I think it's an encouraging start.
So they don't have any fixtures this weekend, but the men's do, and we're starting off with champions Ayr facing Hawks in a West Coast derby. Curry hosts Selkirk, Hoyk hosts GHA, Melrose have Heriots at home, and Watsonians host Kelso. And you were at the launch with all the captains the other week. How did that all go?
It was good. It was good. I think we've spoken about it before. It's the old man thing. You're kind of grumbling about, the season starting. This is getting earlier every year, but I think the players were kind of agreeing with that a bit. So this was 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they were still deep into pre-season. So it was quite funny. A few of them were talking about any new faces, and they couldn't remember the names of the guys that signed. These were guys that are going to be their teammates going forward. But yeah, it's just the usual. It's a 10-team league as opposed to a 12-team league this year, which I think is probably the right size. Ayr are still the team to beat, I would have thought. They've lost a couple of players. Tom Lanny's gone travelling. James Malcolm's retired. And I don't think they've recruited massively, but they had such a strong squad last year.
Huge depth already. Yeah,
so they'll be the team to beat.
And I'm sure there's going to be guys coming up, because you've got such a good youth section that there's guys coming up through that.
So it's a bit of a baptism for fire for Hawks, who are always every year, because Hawks have a huge turnaround every year. And I asked Paul Cairncross, who's their captain, same again, and he said, it's quite a lot of new faces, but it's part of the challenge. I quite enjoy it. But they're down there, and sod's law for them. They've also drawn Ayr away in the cup as well, first game, round 1. So I don't know if the guys at Hawks wonder whether they've been made some enemies at Murrayfield at some point or something like that. But they're the team to beat. It's an interesting league. I think the proof will be in the pudding. We'll find out. We're running. This is Thursday morning, so once I get off this call to you, Pete, I'm pulling together. We've got most of the coaches have now replied with the same things we did for the Women's Premiership, which is we send out a questionnaire: players in, players out, young guns, key man, key player. and we'll be hopefully publishing that later today. So I've not kind of gone through it with a fine tooth comb yet, so I'm not entirely convinced or entirely clear on exactly where each of the teams stands, but I think definitely Ayr remain the team to beat.
So how does the season structure work this year? Because last year it was 3 down, 1 up, and also the cup was has very much an asterisk next to it for the kind of weird way it was handled. How is this season?
Yeah, so the cup's back as it was. So it's the top two leagues are competing in the cup. The Scottish Cup, then the rest of the national leagues compete in the National League Cup, and then you're down to the regional cups, and it's back. All the teams are entered into it. I think it came as a bit of a surprise to some of the teams when they saw the draw, because I don't think there'd been they pulled out last season on the basis that, or a lot of the teams did, on the basis that there wasn't enough weeks in the season with 12 teams in the league. There's so many league games. And I don't think there's really been a discussion about them coming back in this. I think it was the SRU kind of assumed that they would, or chose to assume that they would. And I think a few of the clubs were kind of a bit surprised when they just got the communication saying this is where you are on this weekend. So it feels a wee bit like, the cup's back, great, but it doesn't have, it'd be great if it was, a real thing that everybody's looking forward to. There's a real buzz around it. And hopefully that's what happens as we get closer to the cup games and as the cup progresses. But that was... that's where we are with the cup. The cup is back, and you've put me on the spot with the promotion relegation. I think it's probably back to the way it was before, which was 1 down, 1 up directly, and then a playoff between the second bottom and the second top. But I may be wrong. I might be getting. I'm sure one of the guys at the Premiership Club will delight and send me a text message telling me how little I know about what's going on in the Premiership. If I'm wrong about that, correct me if I'm wrong.
Please write in. Comments would be good.
Yeah, I mean, I did also because we do a question. There's a kind of standardised team sheet that all the coaches send in to us each week, so that we know who's, we can list the teams that play. And I, for some reason, thought there was only five reserves in the Premiership, but it's 7, and it was last season, and I didn't remember that. So that shows how on the ball I am. This isn't really selling me as the Arnold Clark Premiership. Come to the offside line, we know everything.
Fortunately, you're not the only one doing all the reportage.
Exactly.
You got other people on the team to help keep you right.
There's a lot of people on the team that keep me right, and
you're a bigger picture man,
and I'm forgetful. That's because I'm forgetful. I'll remember,
but the truth is, you're forgetful. Exactly. So that's fine.
Mm-hmm. But apart from that, we will be doing. We're delighted to be back doing the Premiership. We spoke to all the clubs beforehand. They were all very positive about what we do to try and shine a light on that level of the league. I'm massively committed to that level of the league on a personal level, and the Offside Line. We recognise that it's been a key part of everything we've done. This is a bit of a plug, but it's true. And so every year we don't have a debate about it. We always want to do it, but it's how much can we afford, how much can we do, and we're going to be doing more than ever, which is great because it's a fun league to report on. It's kind of a step away from the pro game, so the guys that they're quite, for starters, they're quite pleased to see you. So when you go and speak to the coaches afterwards, they'll give you a straight answer. The players quite enjoy getting a wee bit of recognition for what because they work really hard, and so it's good fun, and we're hopefully doing a bit more social media around it and stuff. So it's pretty exciting. And I'm at Watsonians on Saturday, so Watsonians Kelso, isn't it?
It's Watsonians Kelso, yeah. So Barney, before we go, predictions for the weekend in the Women's World Cup.
Right.
Let's just go for the Scotland-Wales game. How do you think that's going to go?
It's going to be really tight, isn't it? I think it is. 22-20 for Scotland, I think. A tense game.
Okay, nice.
What are you going with?
I don't know. I just like getting a really good feeling from this Scotland squad for all the difficulties that have been surrounding them with contracts and coaching appointments and all that kind of stuff. I just still feel they've got it's an interesting dynamic that you always see in the women's game. They're very good at opening themselves up to social media and to they're just very open, and it's great, and they don't hide away from who they are and the bond that they have, and it just seems very, very special. And I think they could do hopefully something special on the field as well. So I don't know, I'd like to think that I'm going to go for a 28-16 win for Scotland.
Excellent. Yep, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Anything in between our two predictions would be fine. Anything
yeah, good. So that we're just going to keep it nice and short for this first episode of season 2. Please write in if you have any questions, and we'll read them out on the show. And any opinions and feedback on the games, whether it's in the Premiership, the National Leagues, in international or pro game, we'd love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe, tell your friends and your club mates and your teammates all about us, and we will keep growing this brilliant show that we have here. And Barney, thank you very much. Here's to season 2 and another 50 episodes of me asking if you press record at the start and for you to say no, and then we get going.
I say yes, I'm definitely done. Pete, what do you think of me here, Pete? I'm a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, just to peek behind the curtain as I go, listeners, as I then go to the edit and I find out that I'm midway through the intro and then he's pressed record and he's lied to me that he had done it. But
yeah, but I was going to say, can I plug the guys in the Halfway Up the Middle podcast? We were actually speaking about this before we came on air, but the guys in the Halfway Up the Middle, which is a Scottish cricket podcast, and it's 2 guys. They're quite entertaining, quite enjoying it. I enjoy cricket, but I'm not an expert. I'm trying to learn a wee bit more because we've been doing a bit of cricket. And I was totally delighted because I was listening to it in the car just earlier on, and they came on, and there was clearly a bit of tension between them. And the Pete Burns character, the guy that's in charge, the one that kind of did the intro and said, "How are you, Piers?" The other guy, "How are you?" And he's like, "Well, I feel like I'm living in Groundhog Day type stuff because this is the 3rd time I've done it. Can I tell you what happened?" And the Pete Burns character had 3 times forgotten to press record, and I thought, good, it's not just us. So
No.
Yeah.
No. It's not just
me. Yeah. Although we did have a bit of an issue earlier on, Pete.
We did. Well, that was, I had a feeling I'd cut off my recording, but we'll just hopefully
Magic.
It's okay. Right, Barney. Right, offside liners everywhere.
See you next
week.
It's the offside line.
This is not soccer. Is that clear?
On course, Stanger could be there. In fact, it's a try. A magnificent try for the 21-year-old.
Brilliant.